Hi guys, this is Emma the Vlog Lady, and today I'm going to be talking about some of the things I've thought and theorised about since the last episode of Twin Peaks, which was part 9. And I'm going to start with Diane because I was surprised how many fans decided that Diane was working with Evil Coop immediately after she received that weird text message in the last episode. And it wasn't the first thing I thought. I thought that maybe she was working with someone, and my mind went to Philip Jeffries instantly because of the fact that we already know that Ray is involved with a Philip, possibly also Philip Jeffries, and he would be a good candidate for someone who was double playing Evil Coop. However, I did think it was worth theorizing about the idea that Diane is actually a bad girl. I wanted to think about her previous scenes and whether there is any possibility that we could have seen something that maybe we misinterpreted. So I'm going to go back to the episode part 7 where she met Evil Coop at the prison. If Diane was evil and an ally of Evil Coop's in this episode, then that whole scene turns on its head. She could be angry at Evil Coop rather than afraid of him, and she could be responding to the fact that Evil Coop did not take her under his wing. I do think this is far-fetched, but I also think it's worth thinking about because a lot of people do seem to think that she's joined the dark side, perhaps. And I also think it's worth noting in that episode that when she talks to Gordon Cole afterwards, after she sees Evil Coop, that she does this crying action, but I don't ever see any tears come to her eyes. It's like a practiced cry almost. Maybe that's me being cynical, but I also think that Diane says to Gordon Cole in this scene, this is not the Cooper I knew. There is something in his heart that's not there, or something like that. And I wondered if her reaction, that kind of hysterical reaction that she has, it's actually so much hysteria built up in her body that she's actually unable to control her feelings about Evil Coop. She actually wants to be on the dark side so badly that it's having this response in her body. Are there any other factors that make Diane suspicious? In the last episode, we see her offer a cigarette to Gordon Cole, and it seems to play out like a bit of a comedy scene with Tamara squirming in the background. But did anybody else see a parallel between that scene and the Got a Light scene? Or perhaps even Leland saying Bob had said to him,
"Do you want to play with fire, little boy?"
Who knows? So I'm going to move on to something else now, and in this episode I think there were a lot of threads coming together, and it made me start to think about where we are going in terms of some of the scenes seem to be converging, some of them seem to be headed in a particular direction, and I'm wondering how the stories, the different stories between Twin Peaks, between Good Coop and the Doppel Coop are going to come together, because I imagine that they have to at some point in order for a resolution, in order for a conclusion to the story. So I'm going to start to think about the scene with Good Coop in this episode where we saw him looking at the flag, and I think that this was an important scene. I think that he was getting some kind of recollection from looking at that electrical output, and he also looked at some red shoes, and a lot of people in the comment section of my last video suggested that he was thinking about his own shoes that are still inside that otherworldly dimension. There has been some suggestions that Good Coop might have to go back into that dimension either to retrieve those shoes or because it's part of his journey back to Twin Peaks. Now that got me thinking a little bit about how the storylines might come together, and I've come up with a theory which I think is plausible, given that we saw so many scenes of Ben Horne and Beverly listening to the hum in the hotel, and in the last episode we also got Johnny Horne coming into it. I think that Good Coop is going to go back into the lodges at some point, but not come out at the Black Lodge entrance at Glastonbury Grove, but I think he might come out at the Great Northern Hotel. Possibly even in the same room where he stayed 25 years ago, Wouldn't that be crazy? But I am starting to think, you know, Ben Horne, they've received the key. They are having some weird experiences in the hotel. Something is affecting that family. Something is also affecting Jerry. Is it because they have had this proximity to the lodge entrance at the Great Northern Hotel? Is that where this power is at its greatest and that's why they have been affected? I just thought that was a cool idea, and possibly the shoes walking by is another reference to Audrey, because if he comes out at the Great Northern, I think there's a good chance that Audrey might be there, especially since in the last episode we saw an event that might bring Audrey back to town. Her brother Johnny hurting himself like that. Maybe he's dead, maybe he's just badly injured, maybe he needs better care, maybe his mother is too old to care for him. I just think that that would be a good way to piece these storylines together and for Cooper to be able to get back to Twin Peaks, because I think that at some point he has to return to Twin Peaks. That's what an audience want, I think. And that's where I think the heart of the story is, at Twin Peaks. Going on from this, in this episode we saw two young women who were also affected by the terrible drug running that's going on in Twin Peaks. There are so many messed up young people and kids, teenagers in the town of Twin Peaks, and it's heartbreaking, and I'm wondering where they are going with this. And one of the theories that I've come up with is this town is in need of saving. It's almost like the mirror has gone dark and nobody can see what's going on. We saw a little bit of this, I think, in Laura Palmer's day when she had a terrible double life, and I think we are seeing more of that now, but there is so much darkness in the town of Twin Peaks and so many people seemingly turning away from that and not noticing that this horror is happening right under their eyes, right under their noses, I should say. But I think that the town of Twin Peaks needs saving, and the hero to save them is Cooper and possibly Laura. Possibly as a team they could save Twin Peaks by stamping out this evil, by putting it back in its place, by putting it away, by reclaiming the children and the young people of Twin Peaks and offering them the chance for a good life. And I don't know how all of this would come about, but I think that these young people need to be illuminated, to be enlightened, and I don't think they can because of the forces of darkness that are resting upon their shoulders. But if we are seeing these characters for any reason, I think that one of them may be the fact that this is what is at stake when the evil Coop is in the world and his allies are helping him and Bob is out there, and this is what it means something. Young lives. In the last episode I was so moved by Matthew Lillard's performance, and I really want that character to have a happy ending. He would be perfect in Twin Peaks. He needs to move there. I mean, if anybody who is interested in the beyond and the supernatural, then the perfect place for them is Twin Peaks, right? And it sounds like Twin Peaks could use someone in that school, in that high school, to help quash all that drug running through the school. I think that Bill Hastings would be the perfect candidate to move to Twin Peaks, and I really hope he does have a happy ending. I think the idea that his character would move to Twin Peaks is pretty bizarre and far-fetched, but in my mind I think that he would be the perfect Twin Peaks resident. So I wanted to keep this video short, so that's where I'm going to stop today, but thank you for watching, and you can leave your thoughts about what I've said today in the comments below if you like. You can also subscribe if you like David Lynch or Twin Peaks, and next week I will be doing a reaction video only because my dog is getting spayed and I don't think I'm going to have the time to do any videos, but I will be back the week after with a normal reaction video and a theory video as well. You can find me on Twitter and Facebook at The Vlog Lady if you want to talk to me, and that's it. Bye!